For the main event of this upcoming UFC fight night, we got Calvin Kattar versus Giga Chikadze. Now listen, the Georgian takeover is real. Giga doesn't really train with other Georgian fighters like Marab or Gorum or anybody like that. But listen, he's a top striker, as is Calvin Kattar. But both of them are coming into this fight going to be 33 years old each. Both are elite fighters in the UFC's 145 division. Giga Chikadze was in Glory Kickboxing before he came over to the UFC. He ended up going 6-4. I had seen he had been straight slept, like super knocked out whenever he was in Glory. So whenever he was coming over to the UFC, I didn't really expect a whole lot from him, just because I kind of expected him to not have top flight wrestling or submission skills. But as the years have gone on, he's shown to throw up submissions on people like Edson Barboza. He threw up a Darce choke. He couldn't finish it, but at least he's trying for stuff like that. Now, Giga lost in his Contender Series fight against Austin Springer. He got choked out. But since then, he's done nothing but win. 2020, he went 4-0 in the UFC. Super impressive. That's when he became a top prospect and kind of got in the eyes of a lot of hardcore MMA fans. But in 2021, he started going up against top flight competition at 145, like Cub Swanson, and he went up against Edson Barboza, like I said earlier on. He got finishes in both of those fights. So now they're giving him another big name in Calvin Kattar. Now, I kind of think this is a little bit of weird matchmaking for the UFC, considering Calvin Kattar did have a great 2020. He went 2-0 after coming off a loss. This is a beat in 2019 is a beat. Where you at? I miss you, man. But 0-1 in 2021, coming off the worst loss of his entire life, his entire career. He got beat from pillar to post by Max Holloway. There's no other way to say it. He landed some really good shots on Max. Like, you could tell in the fight, those really hard shots were ending up doing some damage to Max, but they really weren't slowing him down. They weren't stopping the beating that was coming his way. Calvin Kattar's camp, he fights out of like I think it's the New England Cartel, Rob Font's camp, Rob, whatever. But anyway, sorry, I tried to make a joke there. Their team is, I would say, above mid-tier, but they're never going to win any titles. Calvin Kattar in this position, they've only set him up for failure. I understand that they want him to do well. He's a really marketable guy. He looks good. He speaks well on the mic, but it's the Georgian takeover, like I said. They've basically thrown Giga a layup here. I don't see any other way that Calvin could do any damage to Giga other than catching him slipping with a big overhand right and knocking him out, which there's always a puncher's chance. But in this division, I think Giga's footwork, along with his kicks, really his just aggression in the octagon, and along with his spinning attacks, his capability of ending it anywhere in the octagon, I think it's going to be a pretty short night for Calvin. When it comes to competition-wise, I think this fight's not going to be very close. I think by the third round, you're going to be able to tell that this is Giga's fight to win. I think he's going to get a fourth-round finish. If it's Herb Dean, I think Calvin might get to decision, but he's going to be really beat up by the end of this one. I'm going to go ahead and say a fourth-round knockout by Giga Chikadze. Lock it in.